Central Michigan offensive tackle and 2022 NFL draft prospect, Luke Goedeke. How you doing today, Luke?
Great to be here. Thank you guys for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. We'll hop right into the first question. So, we always like to ask all our prospects, when did you start playing football and what made you fall in love with the game?
I started playing football in 5th grade, and I fell in love with it. Fell in love with it probably when I was like 5 or 6 years old, maybe even before that. I've always been a physical kid growing up, and obviously still am a physical guy today. Like, just love the physicality nature of the game and everything, and it just always was appealing to me. So definitely, like, I'd say around 5 or 6 years old already, definitely had a love for the game beginning then.
Yeah, and I mean, your football journey is really unique, and you definitely took the road less traveled. So part of the reason that you were lightly recruited coming out of high school is you missed your senior year with a shoulder injury. And how did it feel knowing that at the crucial point of your football career that you had an injury that you had to overcome and you couldn't be on the field? And did that affect your confidence long term?
I actually played through my injury senior year, but regardless, I wasn't highly recruited whatsoever out of high school. I mean, I was definitely like I developed a lot like more late and everything, and definitely like really had no recruiting process throughout high school. I mean, you hear of guys who's like they always are like, oh, he's a 3-star recruit or something. Yeah, if anything, I had negative stars. And now my name wasn't on the map. There was nothing like. I mean, and that was for a reason. I was decent in high school, but I was nothing special.
Yeah, and so you went and played a year of D3 football at University of Wisconsin Stevens Point, and then coming out of that season, you sent your tape around to different colleges, and you got a walk-on opportunity from Wisconsin, and then you got that scholarship offer from Central Michigan. Were you expecting that scholarship offer from Central Michigan, and how did it feel getting that coveted offer?
No, actually, like you said, like I sent my tape to Wisconsin and to Central Michigan, and literally just asked for opportunity to be able to walk on, and like you said, they offered me a scholarship at Central Michigan, and it blew me away. And to be honest, like my dream growing up was always to be a Wisconsin Badger. And like regardless of the scholarship offer, I sat on the decision for like 2 weeks still, just because I wanted to be a Wisconsin Badger so bad. But there was too many unknowns with that, and we were fortunate enough to play them my following year at Camp Randall, which was a dream come true for me. So it worked out well in the end, obviously.
Yeah, and you actually had quite the adjustment, because not only were you switching from D3 football to D1 football, but you were also switching from tight end to offensive tackle. And so how did you navigate that first year at Central Michigan, where you took the red shirt and having to not only adjust that level of football, but also switch positions?
I can't hear anything.
Can you hear us now? Let me see.
I don't think either of us are on mute or anything.
No. I'll leave and come back.
All right, for anyone watching, we apologize for the inconvenience. I think Luke's just gonna hit the link again, and hopefully that technical difficulty is resolved.
Now I can hear you guys. Sorry.
All right, perfect.
Awesome.
I was just asking about how you obviously went from playing D3 football to D1 football, but at the same time, you switched positions from tight end to offensive tackle. So how was it transitioning that level of competition and also switching positions in that first year at Central Michigan where you redshirted?
Yeah, it was definitely very frustrating at times. I mean, most people look at offensive linemen and they think like, oh, that'd be so easy. Like, why? What? Anybody could do that. They just have to stand in front of someone and block someone. But there's so much more to it than that. Whether it's body control, balance, you're the biggest guys on the field. You have to block the biggest guys on the field, the most athletic players on the field with the defensive ends, and you still have to play with body control, poise, and everything. And it's just a whole different a whole different ball game than what people expect, like from what people watching a football game expect, like offensive line. There's a lot more to it than what most people think, and it was definitely frustrating for, I'd probably say, a few months, just trying to learn technique and everything. And I was fortunate enough that in practice I'd go against Mike Dana, who he plays for the Chiefs now.
Mhm.
He played at Central Michigan and then transferred to Michigan and then was drafted, I think, in the fifth round. So being able to play against him was definitely a good experience. I mean, I definitely was in the beginning stages of developing as an offensive tackle, so I definitely humbled me a lot. I mean, not
Mhm.
I thought I was anything special to begin with, but yeah, he definitely made me feel like a small fish in a big pond with his pass rush moves and everything. When I'm just trying to figure out the kick set and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but that definitely also probably made you better. You actually
Yeah.
ended up being a full season starter your first season on the field in the following year in 2019. So how did you manage to improve that quickly and get on the field and play at a good level right away in your first D1 football action?
I think it just like just my mentality and everything, just the way I go about things in life. Like, I'm a very determined guy, so like, there's nothing in life I don't do that I don't put 110% into it. So just having that mentality to begin with, and then like obviously working hard during our workouts, taking the coaching points and applying them, and then also on top of that, putting in countless hours that people don't see. I'm not a big social media guy. I don't post my workouts or whatever I'm doing. Like, I've put in countless hours of my own time just to be where I'm at today and develop myself. And it just a lot went into it, and developing into that first year. I mean, it was definitely frustrating. I mean, there was frustration throughout the first year, like if I make a mistake, just because me personally, I'm a perfectionist. So if like one thing is wrong, like then like it just doesn't seem right to me. So I'm always striving to be perfect at everything I do in life. And I think it's a blessing and a curse at times, but it's just how I am, and it's just how I always will be.
And I assume it's that same mentality and drive and hard work that got you through overcoming the injury you suffered the following year that wiped out your 2020 and allowed you to come back in really great fashion this year, having a terrific season in 2021.
Yeah, definitely that injury. I mean, it happened our last play and our first practice. Yeah, I mean, we were unknown on if we would even play a season. It got canceled,
Mhm.
then we came back. And then that was the last play in our first practice. I just suffered a knee injury and then had surgery. And I mean, I just knew my teammates were supportive, my coaches were, my family, my parents, and everything, my girlfriend. I just knew that, like, if I got down on myself, like it wouldn't do any good. And I mean, I'm a big believer in the weight room, so I think like a week after post surgery, I'd be hobbling around on crutches in the weight room, just like hopping on one leg, carrying weight plates around, bench pressing with one leg up, because I couldn't put any force on my leg for 2 months.
Mhm.
I had to do that for 2 months, just be hobbling around in the weight room trying to do various upper body exercises just to stay in shape, not lose too much muscle mass and everything. I do exercise on my opposite leg, like single leg squats, all sorts of stuff. Just, I mean, there's times where I'd have a 45 plate hopping around in my hand to go to the other side of the bench. I almost fall over, but luckily I didn't. So yeah, it was definitely an experience. I mean, I'm grateful that I went through it. It was unfortunate, but I mean, I feel like I'm better off today just because I went through that experience in my life.
I mean, it seems like all the hard work that you've put in the weight room and on the field has really paid off. And now let's dig into your tape a little bit. The thing that really jumps off the screen for me when watching you play is your athleticism at left tackle or at right tackle, sorry. And, that definitely comes from your days playing tight end. So, would you say your athleticism is one of your strengths? And what else would you classify as some of your strengths?
Yeah, I definitely say athleticism is definitely one of my strengths. Like you said, coming from playing tight end, playing basketball in high school, still like to play basketball in my free time now. I definitely say that's one of my strengths. I really focus on whether it's like doing different like ladder drills or just working on any drills to increase my athleticism as much as possible, and really try and help my athleticism in any way possible. But I'd say definitely some other strengths of mine are like definitely my determination and just toughness. Like if I wasn't determined that I would like I'm not meant to be. I was never meant to be a Division 1 football player if I didn't have the mindset that I did. Like, or even in the position I am today to potentially be an NFL player on Sundays. Like, without my mindset, I would just be I would be a normal college guy. There, I mean, which there's nothing wrong with that, but finishing up school and there'd be no football for me. But with my mindset and everything, just the way I've gone about things throughout my whole life, being determined and everything, I definitely say that's a strength. Um, Another strength is definitely just my like overall strength in general, just because like I take such great pride in the weight room and everything. I've just built up to be a pretty strong guy over the last few years and everything like that. And just focusing on my overall health, like eating right, flexibility, all that. Another strength though I'd say is that like my intelligence and everything, like being able to read defenses, being able to watch safety rotations and like tell if there's a blitzer coming, being able to like analyze the tilt of a defensive end or something, see if he's coming inside. Just little things like that. I
Yeah.
definitely those are like some of my main strengths though for sure.
I mean, we can definitely see your determination and your strength in the weight room. Definitely when you're blocking, we see you finish a ton of blocks. So again, that weight room work is definitely paying off. But all good players know that there's always things that they need to keep improving. What are some of the things that you're looking to improve as you head into this NFL draft process?
The main thing I'm really looking to improve on in this draft process, I mean, even from if you watch my 2019 tape to this year, it has made a bit significant improvement, but still being more consistent in pass protection.
Mhm.
I feel like at times there's times like where I could definitely be more solid or more consistent. Just and at times like it's just that perfectionist mindset again. Like maybe there's a game I let like one pressure go, but like that just eats away at me. Like I want to be perfect. I always strive for greatness and perfection in everything I do. I definitely say that's one of my main weaknesses I really want to focus on during this pre-draft process and everything. And another thing I would say is just like gaining a little bit more knowledge about like secondary rotations and everything and coverages with defenses like cover one, cover four, stuff like that, and a little bit like being able to read safeties a little better. I wouldn't say it's a weakness, but it's just something I really want to work on and focus on. I just like being able to know the ins and outs of things and like being really precise and like being able to know everything.
Yeah,
So
that makes a lot of sense, especially with how much more complex the NFL defenses are gonna be. And so
yeah,
let's just get back a little bit into your team and the success that Central Michigan had this year. You guys went 9-4 and you won the Sun Bowl against Washington State, which ended up being under really peculiar circumstances where both teams were supposed to be playing in different bowl games. And then the opponents of both bowl games had to drop out because of COVID cases. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you found out 4 days before the game that you were playing Washington State. So how do you manage to prepare this game in such short notice and pull out a really good win for the team? And how much did it mean to you to cap off your Chippewa career with a big win in the bowl game?
I actually ended up opting out of the bowl game just because I've been
Yeah.
dealing with ankle injury the past like 2.5 months now. I tried playing on it, and both games I got rolled up on, and it just was not in a ideal situation where it just was not healthy for me to play on it. Just
Mhm.
hobbling around, and I already got it rolled up on twice in 2 games. So I unfortunately had to opt out of the bowl game. But like watching my brothers play out there and everything, that meant a lot to me. I mean, obviously I wish I could have been out there with them, but under different circumstances and everything, it was great. Like knowing like how they overcame adversity, like you said, not knowing it in 4 days, like a brand new opponent, let alone a Power 5 opponent, and they just took care of business as usual. That was just great to see, and I was so happy for them.
That's a really great, and you actually had a great teammate on the opposite side of the offensive line from you. Bernard Ryman at left tackle received so much praise, and many scouts actually said that you and him made for the best pair of offensive tackles in all of college football, which is, I mean, remarkable when you consider some of the powerhouses that churn out offensive line prospects to the NFL. And how big of a benefit for you was it to be able to play alongside Ryman, to practice with him, and really just grind out the work together? And now you're both off to the NFL.
Yeah, definitely was a huge benefit. He's definitely like one of my best friends. I consider him a brother for sure. Like we're even training together for the pre-draft process and everything. And it's just huge to be able to train together and like just where we put, I mean, he as well puts in countless hours of extra time that goes unnoticed and everything like that. Like no one would know the hours that we put in and everything. And a lot of that we put in work together and everything, whether it be field work or weightlifting. And it's just huge. Like we'll work on like our sets and everything, and work on like minor details, and we can talk. We're able to talk about like, hey, like what do you think about this, or how that look, or how that feel, or everything. And even during games, like even though he's on the left side, obviously we'd go against the same defense end, so
Mhm.
we'd be like, hey, what moves is he trying to do and everything like that, and was he trying to work on you and stuff like that, and how's he playing outside zone, inside zone, gap scheme, counter, all that kind of stuff. It's just really, it was really great to be able to play with him because he's super knowledgeable about football as well, especially only being now offensive tackle for 2 years. It's just definitely is great to be able to play with him.
Yeah,
And
it must be.
you'll actually
It
get to take the field with him one more time at the Senior Bowl. So how does it feel to be able to receive that coveted Senior Bowl invite where you're going to have tons of NFL scouts watching you? And how do you envision that week unfolding for you?
Yeah. Me and our head coach, he pulled me and Bernard into our office and like gave it to us personally and congratulated us, and we both felt like little kids on Christmas morning. You know, it was like we were so surprised and everything, and like just nothing I really expected. Like this is all unexpected. Like I never thought I'd be where I am today, but I'm so fortunate. I'm gonna just give it my all, and me and Bernard are definitely looking forward to being able to take the field again together and everything. And I think the week down there is gonna go great. I envision a lot of defenders on the ground, us playing on top of them for sure, because that's just our mentality and the way we go about things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and besides the Senior Bowl, what else do you have planned to prepare for the NFL draft in April?
So besides the Senior Bowl, I'm gonna do the pro day at Central Michigan, and then hopefully I'll get a combine invite as well. And then just like if teams wanna do workouts and their private workouts and stuff, that as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk in NFL circles about having you potentially make another transition and potentially moving to guard. So, have you heard some talk about that yourself, and how would you feel if you were asked to do that?
Yeah, I have heard talk about that, and I'm open for anything. I'm just want opportunity, and I'll embrace whatever opportunity that is with open arms. And if someone tells me to play guard, I'll play guard. If someone tells me to jump, I'll ask how high.
I,
And
I love that quote,
I'll give
and
him I'll give him my all doing it too.
that's amazing. And just throughout your journey, obviously you didn't always know or think that you're going to end up in the NFL. But at any point, did you have any NFL idol, or more recently, did you have any player in the league that you worked on to emulate your game after?
Definitely like idol of mine, just because he's from Central Michigan and he's such a great tackle. Like overall, probably will eventually be in the Hall of Fame. Though is Joe Staley.
Hmm.
I was fortunate enough to meet him this past year, and I just love his personality. We got to me and Bernard and our center actually got to have a lunch with him, and we got to pick his brain a little bit and just listening to him talk and kind of the way he went about things. Like I kind of felt like I could put myself in his shoes and everything. Like the way we go about things, I feel like is pretty similar and everything. Like he loved finishing guys and throwing guys to the turf, which is something I absolutely love to do. Probably my favorite thing to do in life is opposing my will on another grown man when he can't do anything about it. So yeah, Joe Staley is definitely someone who I look up to, and I'm fortunate enough that he's one of my position coaches I'm going to be working with during the pre-draft process as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. Another one is probably Andrew Whitworth, just because he's 40 years old and
Hmm.
still competing at the level he is right now, being I think according to PFF the top tackle in the NFL, and being 40 years old, that's incredible. Just the longevity and how great he is as an offensive tackle. I like to watch his game and everything because obviously there's a lot of things he's doing right if he's lasting that long in the NFL and playing at such an incredibly high level.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
love that you brought up Andrew Whitworth, because man, I feel like it really doesn't get talked about enough that he's been playing at a pro ball level for pretty much 20 years in
Yeah,
this league. But
yeah,
just to transition, yeah, it's crazy. Just to transition into our last couple questions. This is kind of a difficult question, but also a fun question. Who are some of the couple best players that you've played against in your collegiate career thus far?
who some of the best I'd say probably in 2019 when we played Wisconsin. Just their whole. I mean, I went up against Zach Bond, which he was good. Um, Isaiah Loudermilk, he was good. Just their defense was very solid. Like, and that was the first Power Five. That was like the third or fourth college game I've ever played in my life. Like college D1 game I've ever played in my life. Biggest
Wow.
ever against like Wisconsin. So I remember like I was shaking from nerves during that game, but that was definitely a very solid front seven we went against. Individually, Missouri, one of the DNs this year from Missouri, Trajan Jeffcoat, he was pretty.
Mhm.
Um, well, I mean that was my first game back too, so I obviously wasn't very polished then, but he was a decent player for sure. Um, and then probably some of the D tackles from LSU, just like down blocking on them and stuff, and double teaming with the guards. They're pretty big dudes and everything. And I mean, not that I wasn't able to handle myself by any means, but they're some of the better defensive tackles I've won against for sure. I feel like during the LSU game though, I definitely overestimated like their DNs and everything, and thought like just thought they were going to be better than what they were, just because now everyone talks about LSU, and everything like that, but didn't really see it, to be honest.
And our last question that we like to ask everyone, we always like to end off on an inspirational note. So you can take a second if you need to for this. And what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received from a coach, a teammate, or a family member, a friend, really anyone that's given you great advice?
I'd say probably that it always eventually gets better. Like, it never, when stuff gets bad, it's not going to be bad forever. It'll eventually get better. It all works out in the end.
I mean, I think your football career is really a great example of that. That it all works out in the end. You start off D3 playing tight end, and eventually you worked your way up to D1 in offensive tackle, and now you're preparing for the NFL draft. So I mean, you're a great example of the fact that it all does really work out in the end.
Yeah, definitely. God has been at the end of the day.
All right, and that wraps up our interview. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. And any last words you would want to say to anybody before we wrap this up?
No, I think that's pretty much said. I appreciate you guys for having me on again.
Yeah, no problem. Again, thanks for coming on. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back with another episode soon.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Yeah.